Welcome back, everybody. It is the Working Brother back at you with another talk. Yet again, we've got George McMillan III. George, welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic and great.
Fantastic. That's amazing. How are things there in the new year? Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year. And
Um,
it was Orthodox Christmas when last week?
yeah, not that long ago. And Orthodox New Year, actually. Christmas was like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, I've spent the holidays in Macedonia once. That's in
Yep.
Macedonia. That's in the Balkans, by the way.
George has been practicing his comedy routines. For everybody who's new here, hi, welcome. This is a comedy show. Nothing we say here has anything to do with reality. On the other hand, we like to tell jokes about geopolitical stuff, and we often discuss things that are suspiciously similar to reality. But George has been practicing various comedy routines, and he's got like a plethora of maps here for us, and I've got some memes lined up. Shall I do like a Club of Rome map to discuss the Greenland thing?
All right, yeah, we can do it.
Yeah? Oh, this is the wrong map. This is a 1984 map. Hold on. Where's the Club of Rome map? Why do you think it's so similar, the Club of Rome map and the 1984 map, George?
I really can't even I really can't even guess. It's
Why do you think Trump wants
well, that is I mean, in that one you have a northern hemisphere versus a southern hemisphere kind of in that map. I mean, I haven't looked at that before, but that's exactly okay. That's got the Warsaw
That's
Pact
the Club of Rome one.
on
That's the Club of Rome map.
When was this made?
It
1974?
says here, I think 72. Yeah, 74. It's 1974 prototype.
All right, so they still have the old Warsaw Pact countries connected to the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And they still have the southern republics, well, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, still part of the USSR. They have
similar to here.
They got Mongolia connected to Inner Mongolia in that one. And yeah, those are the major changes in that map. Now go to the other one.
This is the other one.
All right, so this one's got northern hemisphere versus southern. I just kind of put it in a perspective because it's got a Hasov or Ratzel integration with Russia. So it's got a Heartland and Western Europe integration in this one. Interesting. Exactly.
This is the other version of late 1984. George Orwell's 1984, that is.
Yeah.
And here's another version, my favorite. No particular reason.
No, that one's good. I like that one because it's got the first thing that China did was connect to the natural gas and oil fields in the Caspian. I like that one.
Shall we get into some more serious things, George? You've got the narrative rhetoric versus the ground truth here. Do you want to outline what we're going to be discussing today?
Yeah, just so we hit the bottom line up front.
Wait. Before you get started, make sure you got it open on your other screen so we can get that commenter to talk about your shifty eyes. All right, good. Now I'm going to put you full. I'm going to put you full screen now.
Right. Okay. So, when we play the B-roll, why this makes more sense because when we were talking offline, the conversation was the whole thing in Syria was planned, was prearranged. And you can tell that because a couple of days afterwards, this shows Russian troops exiting their bases and going straight through the HTS choke points right past the HTS armies, and they're not even bothered. They go out to Latakia and Tartus and take everything with them. So what does that mean? They peacefully handed over the bases to the Turkish military.
You think that was the you think that was the tell? You don't think the tell was when they didn't attack the Israelis in the south?
Well, I mean everything. But I mean, it was like the day after I did that video with Felix Rex and Michael de la Brock. Michael de la Brock was, he takes a different point of view on things than I do. And he was like, big, huge win for Israel, big, huge win for Israel. And I was kind of reserved because, but it's one of those, okay, it was, but it's one of those, be careful what you wish for, kind of scenario. Because now they got Al-Qaeda, in Syria, and Turkey's inserting all these foreign fighters from Afghanistan, Tajikistan, from the northern Khorasan area, let me put it that way, and from East Turkestan. So now they're routing all these fighters that are backed by certain Western covert entities, and they're running them through Syria. So they're giving them live training and interoperability from the different.
Speaking of covert live training and interoperability, what do you make of Trump's executive order declaring the cartels terrorist organizations? Do you think that's like a internal agencies type of thing?
I can't comment on that right now.
Because some people said that it's a good thing, and that it's a developing scenario. Let's put it that way.
It is, and that's why I can't talk about it. I can't.
So let's get back to stuff you can't talk about. The Kellogg plan. The new Kellogg plan.
Let me get to the top here because. It's been, Professor Peter Cohen, way back when I did the first videos with Felix and Michael de la Brock, and then did some videos with some other people. And then you started your channel and I jumped on and we continued from there. We got a lot of stuff done. It's been, Mearsheimer, McGregor, and Davis that have been arguing all along, and especially now that Trump has been misled into thinking that Putin invaded Ukraine for no reason, and that Ukraine is winning the war or it's a stalemate. Okay.
Yeah, I heard Trump say those numbers. That was hilarious. When Trump said those numbers, right. I just got to point out those numbers are fucking hilarious. Wishful thinking doesn't even begin to cover it.
Yeah, and Mearsheimer, McGregor, Davis, Larry Johnson, all those guys are just. They don't know what to make. We know where Trump's getting his information from. It's from, the Institute for the Study of War, which used to be Project for New American Century. That's where he's getting his information from. So this is titled Narrative Rhetoric versus Ground Truth. Trump is getting the narrative. He doesn't know how to do the sea power versus land power strategies, so he can't figure out the benefit of doing my really elaborate sea power versus land power strategies on those slide sets is that overt operations are easy. You got armed military or it's a open diplomatic measure of pressure of some sort. It's the covert means because everybody's trying to do the crime and pin it on the rival, false flags. So what my stuff does, it makes it really easy to say, who benefits? The cui bono analysis of, and then once you can, is it a sea power? Does it benefit the sea powers or the land powers? Then all of a sudden, who's behind what? All around Eurasia becomes super obvious, and that's what gets me in trouble. Yeah, I realize most of the audience doesn't really understand the grand strategic level of modeling and why you do it, and it's predictive analysis, so you can plan several moves ahead. So it was so great to get my my slide sets up on your video screens and get them timed and date stamped from, I think we just started what, December of 2022, I think it was. We did a lot of those slide sets in that time. And now it's going to be really, really good that everything is time and date stamped. And that's because I didn't care about the views. People kept on thinking, oh, you can get other views other ways. I don't care about the views.
You're not alone in that, George.
I mean,
you're not alone in that.
What's that?
I said you're not alone in that. I also don't care about the views.
Yeah, I mean, people really thought I cared. I don't care about. I just wanted this material copyrighted, timed, and date stamped because I knew it was going to age well. Okay.
Yeah, well is one way to put it. Let's go to this three major points slide.
No, let's just leave it. No, well, let me go through that first slide set real quick.
But let's go through it in detail later.
With
the pictures and everything.
I just want to name it real quick because the issue here is Kellogg was a special envoy to Ukraine and was going to deal with Putin from a position of strength. They've been saying that all spring and summer since Kellogg wrote his article in April. Okay. And Sebastian Gorka's been out there saying, oh, Trump is going to tell Putin what to do. Okay. There's a reason why I wanted everything time and date stamped. Okay. Okay. So Lavrov's been out at least since December saying that there's no chance.
Forget about it.
He's been throwing cold. He's very polite. He's very diplomatic. He's been throwing cold water on this, like not one time, but like 100 times, right? So he basically throws cold water on this idea every day, just about somewhere. So because right now the bottom line is the best thing Putin to do right now is to sit back and watch the energy prices soar in Europe, and then the populist movements will rise, and then kick out the EU and NATO in the German-speaking world and the Slavic Danube River Valley countries. So that's the bottom line here, and I really don't. Trump has not realized any of this because, if you got your B-roll set up.
Yep. Which one of them?
Wait. Now I got it. Now I forgot. Hold on one second.
In the meantime, should I do some B-roll of Panama invasion what is it?
No,
89?
No, play the one with Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis.
Is that the first one or the second one you sent me?
The first video.
The first one. All right. That'd be this. Daniel Davis deep dive.
Trump pulled the rug out from under Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump offered blistering criticism of Putin's leadership in Russia's war against Ukraine. Let's watch what Trump told reporters on Monday.
I have to speak to President Putin. We're going to have to find out. He can't be thrilled. He's not doing so well. I mean, he's grinding it out, but most people thought that war would have been over in about 1 week.
Who's most people? That was traced down to that one American general who said it like a month before the full-scale invasion.
Yeah, but just play a few more. And
seconds. Now you're into 3 years, right? So he can't be thrilled. It's not making him look very good. We have numbers that almost 1 million Russian soldiers have been killed. About 700,000 Ukrainian soldiers are killed. Russia's bigger, they have more soldiers to lose. But that's no way to run a country.
Now that struck some observers.
Is that enough, George?
Good. Yeah. Well, because later on in this slide set, if you go down to slide, what is it? Slide 12.
They're not numbered. They're not numbered.
Oh, okay. The one that's got Colonel McGregor on it.
McGregor. Hold on. I saw that somewhere. Eeny, meeny, miny. This one, and then I switch here. McGregor.
Just in this video, or maybe if you go down one or two. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. So Colonel McGregor, who was not chosen. No, back up one.
Yeah.
Okay. Colonel McGregor has been saying it's a 6-to-1 ratio forever. I'll just stick with the number of 6-to-1 just because we have no idea no way of knowing. And that's predicated on the fact, like I was talking in the very first Felix Rex videos I did with Michael De LeBrock, all Putin wants to do is protect his bases and ports in Crimea and his only warm water port in Rostov-on-Don in the Azov Sea area, and his big oil and gas terminals in Novorossiysk. So he wants to push U.S. weaponry off of that in the Mariupol region of the southern Donbass there. So that's all he wants to do. So once people know that, and then if you go to the map that's got map number
the blue 19, and yellow one.
Yeah, the one with the
blue and yellow one.
The blue and yellow one.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been in Stars and Stripes since Stars and Stripes and Army Times. Those they're papers that they have on all the bases. They still print them out.
Yeah.
So they've always had, if Russia attacks, we're going to be a guerrilla warfare, and it's in there like at least once a month. There's a story on that, and the U.S. and NATO armies are training all the Baltic Chihuahua countries, and they're training the Polish army, and they're training the Northwest Ukrainians.
You called them Chihuahua countries.
Yeah.
The Russian propaganda has gotten to you, George. Keep going.
I know. I see the crap that these people write on LinkedIn continuously. They earned that name. I mean, I realize after World War II, when the Soviets came back the other way, it was horrific. I totally get it, but they're narcissistic personality disorders that are creating their worst fear. I mean, they're making it a self-fulfilling prophecy. I always use the analogy, for target fixation. When you're skiing through trees, you don't look at the trees. You look at the hole between the trees.
Yep.
If you think about hitting the trees, you will hit a tree. So, and then that result is usually bad.
Same goes for flying or driving. Yep.
Oh yeah, especially for motorcycles. Don't glance to the side. If you see something, you got to look back at the road. And Dan, the fireman, on his video shows a whole bunch of people. They look at something and then they drive right into it. I mean, it really is. You do it more in a motorcycle than you do in a car, actually. So,
I gotta interject, George. When you first sent me this and I was scrolling through and like this map popped up, it reminded me of that map that I made a long time ago, and it reminded me of that Medvedev map. So I just wanted to pop up a couple of other maps now that we're on this topic and like show people how this is, by the way, the voting results for the referendum.
Yeah, but the big key feature here is you have the Catholic Ukrainians up north, and then you have the Russian speakers, the Orthodox, in the blue areas.
That's one way to put it.
But just hold on a second. When I wrote on a certain fort, and this is one of the things that got me in trouble. Okay, I wrote one of the 4-stars was on LinkedIn, right in March 22, was talking about if the Russians sweep in, they're going to have this big guerrilla warfare. And I said, no, exactly what I'm saying now is according to this map, if Putin wants to avoid the guerrilla warfare thing, he's going to protect his vital port areas, his only warm water port, and stay right in the Russian speaking areas. He's not going to go much beyond that. So it's in writing on LinkedIn. I haven't changed my mind. And I was basing that assertion on these maps, because the critical infrastructure, minerals, and everything just happens to be where the Russian speakers are. The reason why it's being attacked and what Lindsey Graham wanted to arm the Ukrainians for was to take over the Russian speaking areas so he could sell all the oil and minerals or whatever's in those areas to BlackRock and Vanguard so he could get his paycheck.
I was going to say BlackRock, but I'm glad you said it. But in any case, before you continue about these warm water ports and these maps, I've got to flash up my maps, because where is my original edited map? There it is. And that's basically more or less what you got there, except I gave a little bit to Belarus, and Poland got some here, and Slovakia got some in Hungary, and Romania gets some in Moldova, gets some right here. But the point is, and of course, Russia takes Transnistria, and that's that. And like, as you said, obviously they get both warm water ports here. And then we've got, like, about a week or 2 weeks after I put that out, Medvedev was doing this thing. Everybody should remember this. This
wait,
map.
what is it?
This is Medvedev's map from, I believe it's over a year and a half ago. He was like talking at like a youth leaders conference, and he just casually put this map.
I had to look at it. I had to look at it for a second. Yeah. Okay. I get it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a troll. I really don't expect the Russians to go that far.
Yeah, I don't expect the Russians to give half of Ukraine to Poland either.
Oh yeah, but the inference there is Poland is going to take it. You know, the inference there is the Hungarians want to go back to Hungary, and lose the western part of the Carpathians.
And then, speaking of the Hungarians, the Hungarian right-wing party claimed that this should be taken back to Hungary, which kind of like goes. I mean, if you guys are gonna take Greenland and Canada and the Panama Canal, then why shouldn't Hungary just take that little bit there, right?
Yeah, my Hungarian friends have been saying that for years and years and years.
Yeah, as has my original map right here. So yeah,
sorry.
No worries. Let's get back to this. You've got a ton of maps after this. Should I just keep scrolling through random maps?
Just there for a second, because I just want to say, because I wrote it on a certain retired 4-stars map. That was one of the many things that I did about the higher echelon when I was getting out of Afghanistan. And I might as well just say it right now, because Felix Rex could never pre-advertise our live streams. He's got to do it or leave my name off or spell it wrong, right? So then lately, I've been back on, we did the 5 power centers and 6 power centers theories and the hypothetical Russian strategic plan on your show back in December 22, going into January 23, and then that winter and spring. So we did a lot of videos. And then let's see, I was busy for a while, and then I turned it back on because of all the conversations in the Telegram channel. They really wanted me to go back and do the whole thought lineage from Mackinder or from Mahan to Corbett, Mackinder, and then Spikeman. So I went ahead and backed it up. So the latest slide set was sea power versus land power, and the whole GWAT is really overtaking not only the oil and gas fields, but the land bridge pipeline routes to Europe. So GWAT was just nothing. Global War on Terror is just nothing but a ruse or a pretext to take over. Yeah, I mean, everybody knows the oil and gas fields, but there's nothing cheaper and cleaner than natural gas by pipeline. So if you don't control the land bridges to get there, well, all the natural gas in the world doesn't do you very much good. LNG is way too expensive. So that's yeah, go ahead.
I want to take a little break and thank everybody who's bought me a coffee. Everyone who is silently a patron in the background gets nothing in return except the knowledge that they support me. Thank you too. And in case you're wondering, yeah, skip the commercials. I'm not eligible for monetization, so I don't get any of the money anyway. Now that that's out of the way, should we do a meme, George?
Yeah, you can do a meme, yeah.
Hold on. Where is my Biden meme? We'll do probably the last Biden meme that we'll ever do. This is Biden saying bye to all of his colleagues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
What can I say? It's a fun period that we lived through, eh?
Yeah.
Let's get back to some of these maps.
No,
what have you got here?
Another B-roll.
Oh, you want to do another B-roll? Let's go back to B-roll then. Where's my B-roll tab?
Oh my God.
There we go.
No,
the next one.
In retrospect, this was the trade that the Democrats made in the 90s.
Wait, is this?
Yeah, just play the first minute. No. Yeah, the first minute of it.
The New York Times calls him arguably the chief ideologist of the Silicon Valley elite. Mark Andreessen on Uncommon Knowledge now.
In case that's copyrighted.
Keep on going.
Yeah.
Welcome to Uncommon Knowledge. I'm Peter Robinson. After growing up in New Lisbon, Wisconsin, which has a population today of 2,523, Mark Andreessen majored in computer science at the University of Illinois and then moved west. In 1993, Mr. Andreessen co-founded Netscape, which made available the first widely used browser,
Sorry, I just got to interject there as a Serb. When you sent me this offline before we started recording, I pointed out that the other co-founder was then a Yugoslav, also Serb, I believe. Yeah. Funny.
Instantly making him a major figure here in Silicon Valley, and he has remained a major figure ever since. In 2009, Mr. Andreessen and his investing colleague Ben Horowitz launched the venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, which today has more than $40 billion under management. Here at Stanford, Mr. Andreessen participates in the Hoover Institution's Emerging Technology Review. Since the election last November, Mr. Andreessen has been spending only half his time here in Silicon Valley, spending the other half at Mar-a-Lago, where he has been advising Donald Trump and his friends, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Mark Andreessen, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Peter. It's great to be here.
Okay, Mark, let's begin by taking a brief look.
Yeah.
Okay, George.
All right.
Tell us why we watch that now.
Okay, I just wanted people to see that he's been at Mar-a-Lago working with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, whatever the guy's name is. So he's got inside information. Now this is where the comedy comes in. Play, what was it? So the second B-roll is at the 38-minute mark to the 1 minute to the 39-minute mark.
1 minute to 39?
Yeah. All right.
Wait.
And you'll get the comedy.
Wait, at the 39-minute mark, you're saying?
No, started at the 38-minute mark. Yeah, right there.
And if you listen to what he talked about with the water situation in California, it's like, yeah, that's all correct. Like, he is exactly 100% correct. He did the same thing, by the way, if you remember, in the first term when he diagnosed the German energy situation.
Yes.
To the face of the German diplomatic corps at the United Nations.
You people are going to become dependent on Russia, and that will be a disaster for you. And it has been.
And it has been. And if you go back and if you forget who did it, or if you just read the transcript and you read it, you're just like, wow, that was a really good it was an extremely precise and accurate and very prescient 5-minute analysis of this system's problem, which is where's the energy coming from, how's it going, what's going to happen here, what happens if we turn off nuclear.
Good.
Same thing in California, what happens to the water. And
all right, I just wanted people to see that. They've been trying to stop Russian natural gas, not a new secret. Anthony Blinken's book, 1987. Okay. They've been trying to, we already talked about it on this show that
for people who couldn't make it out, in case you can't make it out, it says ally versus ally.
Oh yeah, right. It's ally versus ally. And it's, hold on a second. Let me get there. Let me read the subtitle real quick. America, Europe, and the Siberian pipeline crisis is what that says. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, there we can see it now. Yeah.
But yeah, and it's Anthony Blinken. So he published his dissertation. And I went ahead and got a copy because I'm such a conspiracy theorist. I got Anthony Blinken's book, and I talk about what's in the book and apply it to what's going on today. And between him and Zbigniew Brzezinski and Spikeman's books that I got all right here, they're doing exactly what they said they were going to do, right? So, but
you weren't lying when you said the comedy was going to be good today.
Oh yeah. So what Andreessen just told me right there. Okay, if it's the first time Trump's heard of that kind of stuff, that's fine. He's a real estate mogul. He's worth $1 billion. Very successful. He's very successful, entertainer in communications, which Mark Andreessen says. But that means his advisors are horrible. That means he's getting his news from the Institute of Study of War, by the Kagans and Fiona Hill and Newland, and Brookings Institution, where Robert Kagan was worked. He's getting his information from these think tanks. That's not the boots on the ground truth. That's the political rhetoric. He's repeating the political rhetoric and the narrative. He doesn't know the real motive is to cut Germany off from Russian natural gas. And you go back to the 5 power centers strategy of Kennan. It was to put Western Europe into the American camp, and then the first island chain strategy on the other side of Eurasia into the American camp. So that connects the United States to Europe on one side of the Atlantic, and then the first island chain on the other side of the Atlantic to hem in, to contain China. And back then it was just the Soviet Union, and then they wanted to contain communism. So if we already went over this last year in several different videos, if Russian natural gas goes to the axial ends of Eurasia, then they're infrastructurally integrated with each other. Then they become economically integrated. Then they become diplomatically integrated, and then ultimately military integrated, because the military and the police is what a country uses for its armed guards. So you send your armed guards to protect your assets. You send your armed guards to protect your trade. So if you're not doing trade someplace, you move them out. Like Putin, I guess Russia's going to reduce its presence in Syria because they're not doing business there. They haven't done business in Syria in 10 years. It's a $50 billion a year liability. They gave it up, right? So in this case, they don't want that dime integration, diplomatic, infrastructural, informational, military, economic. They don't want that dime integration of Russia in the heartland to Germany, India, China, and then Japan and South Korea. With Japan, I talked about it over and over again. The Sakhalin pipeline going to Hokkaido, it only needs 40 miles to go. The Japanese 10 years ago finished everything on their side. The Russians finished everything in Sakhalin Island all the way down to the coast under diplomatic pressure, they built LNG liquefaction and regasification plants on either side of that. It would have been much better just to build a pipeline. But you can already bet that pipeline is surveyed and those pipelines are ready to go. And yeah, conveniently, it was Shinzo Abe that signed that deal with Putin, and he came to an untimely demise.
Yeah.
All right. And then
we did a meme. We did a meme, and then we're gonna go back to the maps because like I know what you're talking about, and I can see all the visuals because we've covered it like ad infinitum or ad infinitum. But like for people who are watching, it'll be I think more useful as we like scroll through all the maps that you can go like one by one and give them like a little brief as to what's going on. But before we get into that, I want to pop this up there because this is just hilarious. Who remembers this cartoon, right? Do you think that's what she was going after? You know she's born in Yugoslavia?
She's born in Maribor.
Yugoslavia.
In Slovenia.
Yugoslavia.
Well, yeah, I mean...
There's no well about it. She's born in Yugoslavia.
If you want to call it that.
That's what it was called at the time.
Yeah, it was. It was.
When she was born there, that's what it was called. There's not much else that can be said about it.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth between Zagreb, Maribor, and Graz before.
Let's get into your. I think this is Moldova. Is this Moldova? This is Moldova, right? With Maya Sandu.
Oh yeah. But I don't want to get into that. Just if you're going to do that, I really got to stay on this theme because it's really super important. We need to keep it on why Trump has been totally misinformed by his government, and why Putin all has to do is nothing. So
you wanna first cover Syria because I've got a map here of Syria. You kind of mentioned it in passing.
No, let's stay on this. This is so important because people on your show don't know why I do things a certain way. You know, everyone else does a news show. I do a predictive analysis show. So it's we did the predictive analysis, you know, in the winter of 2022 going into 23. And so now it's the I told you so moment. Okay, now we're here. What Trump doesn't know he still believes Trump invaded for no reason, and it's the Russians that are losing more people than the Ukrainians. So therefore, he's going to deal with Putin from a position of strength. The reality is the plan was to cut Germany off from Russian natural gas. We covered the fake Rand report on your show. When was that? That was January of 23, I think it was. We covered
something like that, yeah.
Another month later, we covered, you know, the Fiona Hill, Lex Fridman thing where she just completely lied. I mean, she wrote a paper on building the Tbilisi to Vargas, Bulgaria pipeline.
That was funny. I'll leave a link somewhere. But that was hilarious.
Yeah. So we covered this already. So we know it. But his advisors don't, because they've been talking about all along. They're going to deal with Putin from a position of strength. Then they find out Lavrov's and, you know, Putin, Lavrov, and Medvedev aren't even interested in meeting General Kellogg. So DW did a video at the end of December about, you know, Kellogg's plan and how they're going to get peace in Ukraine, that he's going to get the war ended on day one. He's going to tell Putin what to do, all that. No, Sebastian Gorka on Newsmax is like the worst. Then after he, you know, around when he got inaugurated, they realized that Putin didn't want to, or, you know, Putin's team didn't want to meet with the American team.
Give us like a brief highlight of what the Kellogg plan is supposed to be.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm glad you put that up because while I talk, just switch the map around as I'm talking. Mm-hmm. So the, Kellogg's plan was delayed NATO membership, the security guarantees,
Sorry, I got to interject. Today, there was news of what's his face, Zelensky, going, "Oh no, they lied to us. They never were going to accept us into NATO." So I just had to like throw that out there.
Oh, yeah. And then so it's Russia controls the territory it occupies. Ukraine renounces force to take back territory. Russia has their sanctions relieved. All right. This whole thing is a complete non-starter. Anybody that's listened to our show knows that this is a non-starter.
Including Medvedev.
Well, especially the Russians. I mean, the Russians, the Russians have studied the grand strategies, and the sea power versus land power theories is mandatory knowledge for the Indians. Remember, we covered that on the old Telegram channel. We talked about that because I would keep on posting up these Indian news or Indian videos where they go over Mahan and Speakman and all of that. All of their civil servants have to know it. In the United States, they make sure nobody knows it. That's a big difference because they can't make the PSYOP work if everybody knows what the sea power versus land power strategies are.
Speaking of PSYOPs, do you want to talk about that Chinese red note thing, or we'll leave that for another day?
No. We got to stay on the topic. Though. This is important. We got to stay on topic here because
focus.
Yeah, because DW first. Okay, they in this video. They're talking about Kellogg's going to go bring peace to Ukraine, and Putin's going to accept all the. Putin is going to readily accept, Trump's offer. Well, Lavrov says he's not even going to consider a truce because in the past they kept on telling NATO do not move the EU and NATO east. And the purpose of moving
as Lavrov has said multiple times. The West is not agreement capable. So
correct.
As they've proven with Minsk 1, 2, and 3, I believe.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I'm just going to run through the whole history for people that don't know, because the purpose of moving the EU east is when you move a trading bloc, you're moving tariff trade barriers and non-tariff trade barriers. So you're trying to shut off all the commerce coming from Russia. Okay, so they did that. And then the gas contract, Russia kept on telling them not to move the EU and NATO east. Then they had the big 2014 argument with the Euromaidan revolution of sorts. They had that, and then that was kind of like the final straw because then Russia's got no commerce. They went ahead and that started the war in the Donbass because the NATO started moving their weapons too close to Russia's only warm water port. And yes, you move offensive weaponry there. You move military equipment there because you can drive tanks either direction. So they're offensive or defensive, depending on which way you point them. And at that point, they're pointed at Rostov, the only warm water port. So, yes, that military intervention was counteracted by Putin's military intervention. Yes, that's how that works. And it's just the whole idea that Putin attacked for no reason is complete nonsense. People need to look at a map. All right. So then the 2000 NATO agreement in Munich was when Putin hit the roof. And then in 2008 in Bucharest, he really hit the roof. Why did he really hit the roof in Bucharest? When NATO moves in to Romania, they're taking over the Danube River. And then in Moldova, they're taking over the Dniester. There's other rivers in there too. But what is geopolitical strategy about? It's about taking over maritime choke points, riverine choke points, and terrestrial land bridge choke points. That's what it's about. So by moving NATO east, they're taking over the whole European peninsula, and they're blocking in Russia and Belarus. Well, they tried to do a color revolution in Belarus. But they want their cordon sanitaire in Speakman's terms in the Baltic states, Poland, Ukraine, and in Georgia to totally hem in and block off commerce. If you go back to that strategy stuff video or slide, the one that's
Levels of warfare. This one.
Wait, stop right there for just a second. All right, let me just stop. All of Trump's people are at the bottom tactical level. If you watch the Sean Ryan show, and he gets a lot of guests, and some of those guests are in the Trump administration, they're only trained at the tactical level. All of my stuff is at the grand strategic level. So these people, they don't know anything in between. They know what's occurring in their area. They know what's occurring in their area better than I do. Absolutely. That's why I watch them. Because I'm on the top making my models and I'm looking for confirmation. Guess what? There's nothing but confirmation all over the place. All right. There's a proxy war every single place in every single country around Eurasia, in Speakman's Rimland map to block in the heartland. So we're in World War III. They know it. We know it. So go to map 51, Mahan's equation. I mean 51, 18. I read the wrong number.
Hold on. 18, 16, 17. It's Mahan's equation. There we go.
All right.
Both.
Yeah, let me just say here, if Mr. Sin does some really good 100 level videos on Mackinder and Spikeman that does Rimland Heartland theory. So those are good videos because, for people that don't understand what I'm talking about, Mr. Sin's got a good YouTube channel. And then the strategy stuff guy does really good, I want to say like 300 and 400 level videos because they're integrated. It's the Sea Power videos. Plus he's got the difference between production and wealth. Because geopolitical strategy really has three components. If you understand economic development theory, what you're trying to do is you're taking resources, raw materials out of the ground, one way or the other, mining or agriculture. You want to process it to consumer products, and then you want to distribute them to stores where people can buy them to get them to people's homes. All right. If you're, that's economic development theory. You want to do that the most efficient way. So if you were just looking at a map where if everybody got along, what's the most efficient way of doing everything? That's your economic development strategy in simple terms. Geostrategic theory is about how to mess up every single one of those phases to your rival and then protect your allies. So when you move the EU and NATO east, you're blocking Russia from selling everything west. Okay, so the last natural gas pipeline contract expired December 31st. Now, Putin does no more business with Europe. What does he have to talk about with Putin? I mean, with Trump. What does Putin have to talk about with Trump? Nothing. They don't do business. Men, we talk about business or we don't really talk. So he's got himself in a position where he's going to put more sanctions on Russia. Is that possible? And the sanctions always backfire. So, it's the German industry that is collapsing. It's the Japanese auto industry that's collapsing. All Putin has to do right now is nothing, sit back, watch the energy prices soar, the German and the Japanese auto industries become totally non-competitive price-wise. The AfD and the FPO, the Freedom Party in Austria, take power. They've already been talking about kicking out the EU and NATO. So if Putin just sits back and does nothing more than what he's doing, it's NATO and the EU that's going to go away, not Russia. So the Trump transition team obviously does not know that. McGregor's been talking about that. Daniel Davis has been talking about that. I do it from a different perspective because I'm doing it from pipelines and petrodollars. Okay, I'm doing it from geostrategic analysis. Those are military guys saying that no, they think Russia's got a 6-to-1 advantage over Ukraine in the KIA-WIA ratio. That's killed in action, wounded in action.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as the collective West, and here's an important point, as long as the collective West is basically to keep it simple, is placing their soldiers under Russian artillery, why should Putin change his strategy? They're going to run out of Ukrainians. There's no reason to move. So they're going to take over. They will move forward. And we won't do another B-roll. I'll just discuss what's in the rest of that Mark Andreessen video, because he's talking about
I already got it queued. Might as well play it.
You got the next one queued? Okay.
Yep.
Because the next one was at because he starts talking about
106.
Okay, yeah. Oh no, that's the debt part. No, that's the debt part. But there's one at about 58-minute mark, I think it was, but forget it. He's talking about
right.
He's so happy that what's the guy's name? Palmer Luckey, his Anduril plant for making drones is going to be started now out in Dayton at near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base out there. And they're so happy because this is going to be the big game changer. All right. It's going to take a couple of years to get the factory up, a couple more years before they get the first drones off the floor. Trump won't even be in office by the time that thing's up and running or makes a difference. All right. What is going to happen in the meantime, because the German elections are coming up in March, is that the AfD is probably going to get more power and it's going to change the voting coalition. Probably, they're probably going to gain a lot of influence. And yes, they were talking about building up the Bundeswehr and working with NATO in the EU a couple months ago. But the way Trump's been talking about, he's not going to let Germany rebuild Nord Stream. Well, that changed to, okay, we're going to rebuild Nord Stream and we're just going to abandon the EU and NATO. So Trump's policy
isn't there like something being floated that he's going to buy Nord Stream, or somebody related to him is going to buy Nord Stream?
Yeah. So it's already backfired. Okay. He wants to buy Nord Stream. Okay. Well, what happens? Let's just war game that for a second. Doesn't take too long to war game that. The purpose of buying that would be to add a middleman and raise the price. So if they did that, what do Germany and Russia do? They nationalize the damn thing, pay the money back, and just keep on doing what they're doing. They rebuild Nord Stream, cut out the middleman. The whole idea of building Nord Stream and even South Stream was to cut out the middleman. So here again, you have the United States trying to interfere in everybody else's commerce. So it's not about democracy or counterterrorism in GWAT or democracy in Eastern Europe. It's certainly not about economic development because Ukraine's destroyed. It's all about raising Russian natural gas prices.
You want to outline or like run through this Putin, Erdogan, Aliyev plan, like just the slide? Because we're 53 minutes in now, and we should start wrapping this up, and then we can pick it up in a second and continue.
Okay. Yeah. So it's, the whole point here is people really thought that Putin had this big crushing defeat in Syria. Again, with the Michael de la Brock's point at the end of the Felix Rex video, I was always more cautious because now Putin gets rid of a $50 billion bill, every year, and it really looks like it really looks like Erdogan, stabbed Putin in the back. That's exactly what they wanted people to think. But it was obviously prearranged by the way that they handed over the bases. Mm-hmm. So then why did they do that? Well, now it went from Russia and Turkey transiting gas to Europe to just Turkey. When somebody's got a monopoly, do prices usually go up or down? Does their bargaining position usually go up or down? Well, if you got a monopoly, your bargaining position goes up. It just transferred that to Erdogan, and the gas and the natural gas, most of it comes from either Baku or Russia. So now between Erdogan, Aliyev, and Putin, they can now, if they do nothing and just control the gas prices, they can collapse the EU because, you raise the prices, cost of living standards go up. Volkswagen along with Audi and everything else that it owns, Skoda, all of those businesses go out of business. The AfD takes power and they've got to kick out the NATO and the EU because there's sanctions on Russia. They won't care about the US tariffs if they're going to go out of business anyway. They'll just say to hell with the US market. And they're not even saying to hell with the US market because BMW and Volkswagen have plants here. They'll just say, well, we'll just produce whatever we produce in the United States at whatever cost and whatever business they have, they'll stay in business there. And then everything made in Europe with the cheap Russian natural gas, they'll sell to the European market or to Asia. Plus BMW and Mercedes, they all have plants in the Eastern Economic Corridor of Thailand. The places where I ride my motorcycle around and go look at factories and industrial centers. So they'll just move their operations there and stay in business. The alternative is if you stay in the EU and NATO, you're going to be completely out of business. So that's not a choice. So Trump has totally overplayed his hand. He's starting to realize that. And we'll finish it here because the DW video that came out last night was, Trump said he was going to end Ukraine on the first day, or let's just say the first week, right? Then it was Kellogg is going to be given 100 days. That was last week. Then this week, it's, the Ukraine war may last 6 or 7 more months. All right. Putin has got no reason to stop. One of the things that Andreessen was talking about is with the drones, he was gloating that now Ukraine can interfere with Russian shipping in the Black Sea with drones. He was gloating that it was great. He wasn't realizing, he can't figure out what the downstream effect of any of these decisions are. Well, Mahan's theory, if you want to stop somebody from converting production to wealth, is to shut down their seaports. And that's why Putin actually attacked or made a military response into the Donbass anyway. Well, now you're just aggravating that by going after the shipping, which is what he was trying to protect. So that's not going to drive him to the bargain, and it's not going to make him want to freeze the static point at where the current contact line is. He's going to want the whole the whole Odessa Oblast to cover the whole the Black Sea seacoast so they can't interfere with the shipping. Because the whole purpose of it was to protect his only warm water port. So it's his Putin's best interest right now to continue that strategy, take the whole Black Sea coast. Meanwhile, energy prices spike, the populist movements take over the whole Danube River Valley, and the Trump administration does not see this coming.
I don't know where I saved that one thing, but 2 cables have been cut, internet and communication cables between Taiwan and China. as of today. Another 2, I should say, because one was cut a couple of days ago. But we'll get into China and all that other good stuff in the second half of this talk. I wanted to pop up a meme before we get this out of the way. Let's play this outro music. This is Trump on the right. You may recognize him. On the left is the Trump coin chart flipped to the side. So yeah, we live in a simulation. We live in a simulation, George. George, anything else you want to outline or like sum up before we call it a recording?
No, we're good. Oh,
all right.
Well, the next one, let's go over the election maps of the Danube River Valley then.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that. Everyone who stuck around to the end, thanks. Like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. Leave a comment if you so feel like it. See you soon, everyone. Peace.